is poppin', fight fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Mystic Hour Live. I am Darnell Giovanni, aka Mystic One, Mystic Black, joined by my guy, the man, the myth, the Miami legend, Nick Marcus, to my left.
Miami legend.
Ain't that what he played?
You see, right now, I'm gonna flip it once we get past that 7th seed. I don't know what's up with this, man. That's a whole nother discussion, though, man.
It's a whole nother discussion. A lot of wild things happening with the NBA, but of course, we are here to talk about the most amazing, the most exciting, one of the most exciting sports of all, mixed martial arts. We had a great weekend of fights. My God, the fans were back. UFC 261 in Jacksonville, Florida, right here. Of course, wouldn't be surprised that it happened here. Governor Ron DeSantis was there in the house as well, of course, enjoying the fights. Florida Tings. We had an amazing card from top to bottom. I don't know if you watched it from the first fight, Nick, but my God, literally the prelims, everything was just amazing. You can tell from the day before when everybody was weighing in. Everybody weighed in within an hour. These people were ready. They were juiced up and just not juiced up, not steroids. Right? I mean, juiced up in the sense
of very poor choice of words there.
Of excitement, and they just wanted to get in there, pumped up, exactly. And every single fighter that came out, my God, they were so just taken by the energy of the crowd, minus some other things that the crowd did, which we'll talk about a little bit that I didn't love. That we go through things, but let's start off at the top. Jorge Masvidal. My God, you would have never expected this, especially in his home state, especially against a guy like Usman, who's not relatively known for knocking people out, even though he's had 2 knockouts in his past 3 fights. You would never expected that Kamar Usman was going to knock out Jorge Masvidal. Nick, what was your initial reaction when you saw Jorge Masvidal go down in that second round?
Oh, I saw it coming. It was so upsetting because I felt that Jorge was, clowning around there for a little bit, and I felt that he was. I mean, I was happy to see him relax because I know that Jorge is a tough son of a bitch. I mean, he's the BMF champ, and he's not scared of anybody. But I just didn't like how much he was clowning around in there, like especially I don't mind the smiles and like let him know like, hey, I'm still here and I'm not scared of you. But I just felt that he really granted that opportunity because it wasn't like it snuck up on him. He really in a way laid out the carpet for Usman to knock him out the way he did.
Yeah, I don't think he was playing around. I think that he felt Usman's punches in the first fight, which he fought him 25 minutes. And he's like, you know what? If he hits me one of those, it's not going to hurt me that bad. And I remember him catching him with one of those hooks in the first round, and he kind of just smiled with just like, yeah, whatever. It might have hurt him a little bit.
But it wasn't as hard as the second time.
It wasn't as hard as the second time because Usman set that up so perfectly. That's the thing. If you get a perfect knockout just like that, you hit him in the right spot, pinpoint knockout just like that, that's going to take out anybody. He set it up in a sense like he was going for a shot, faked the shot, and he hit him with the hook. Jorge Masvidal even said in an interview Monday with Ariel Helwani, and said, listen, I am so, this is why I love this sport. This is why I love the violence of this sport. He set that up so perfectly, and that makes me a big fan of him. How cool is that to see how much somebody loves a sport to where they can say they're a bigger fan of this person.
They're admiring their rival and everything like that. But I guess that's what I meant in the sense that he kind of welcomed it. I felt like he wasn't putting his hands up as much as he did. And I felt because he was assuming that, this guy's punches aren't that hard. They're not going to be enough to take me down. And I have to say that has to be, and it hurts me, it pains me, because obviously I'm a Miami guy. I was rooting for Jorge in this one, and I'm going to continue rooting for Jorge, win or lose. But it was literally the most perfect knockout I think I've seen. It looked like a movie with the sweat, with the drop, everything. It was nuts the way that he just, with that pinpoint accuracy, landed the ricochet of Jorge's head. It was incredible. I felt like I was watching a movie. Of course, I was saddened by it, but I mean, it was one of those things like Jorge that I was completely impressed by it. I couldn't even be mad, And I've been obviously critical of Usman in the past about not being a bad fighter. Obviously, he's not a bad fighter, but just kind of not being an entertaining fighter, right? But after he had his performance against Gilbert Burns, I really thought that, man, if he did that to Gilbert Burns, like if he was able to evolve his game and surprise us the way that he did in that fight, that I felt it was another one coming with this one. And I think that ultimately, perhaps that's what hurt Jorge at the end. Jorge was trying to probably play to his game rather than just doing his own thing. And who knows? I mean, we all saw what happened, but I'm glad that Jorge, yeah, he's obviously this was a heated rivalry and everything like that, but Jorge is a smart guy. He knows the what goes on in this game, and that, at the end of the day, it's, for most people, it's nothing personal. It's just, the better man won in this case.
And I didn't even think that it was actually really personal. I just felt like they were just so competitive that they're just riled up because they know what they can do to each other. And I was very surprised to see the game plan that American Top Team had, I guess, in a sense of waiting for wrestling exchanges, which makes sense because in the first fight, he did go for a lot of takedowns. He went for, I think, 15 to 16 takedowns. But if you see Usman's style of fighting after that, he was standing up with a lot of guys, and he was showing that he has power in his hands. I felt like they should have been prepared for that in a standpoint, and I feel like maybe he was doing a lot of wrestling in this training camp rather than focusing on certain striking aspects. Not that he was having issues with the striking. Usman just caught him with a good shot, straight up.
Yeah, he did.
And Jorge Masvidal has never been Jorge Masvidal has never been knocked out before. He's been TKO'd a long time ago, his second fight in his career, but he's never been completely knocked out in his career. This is the first time. And for Usman to do something like that to Jorge Masvidal, that just shows you that he is entering or is already on the prime of his career. Are we even there yet with Usman? Is he at his prime?
I mean, I would imagine that he's probably just getting there, if not maybe just a step before, because the level of competition that this guy has had, and I mean, this is obviously something that has been discussed, and I don't know if you want to discuss it later on, but this whole pound for pound, the best out there right now, he's had to go against way better competition, and he hasn't struggled against any of them. I think maybe, if anybody, maybe Colby Covington gave him kind of a run for his money in their last fight, and then he ended up getting him with the TKO anyways. And these last fights, I mean, yeah, of course, he beat Jorge the first time, but then the way that he really knocked out Burns, the way that he knocked out Jorge now, this really could be just the beginning of his peak.
Yeah, and we have to give a lot of credit to Trevor Whitman, of course, for taking a guy, Usman, who wasn't super comfortable standing. I mean, he could stand with certain people, but his bread and butter was that wrestling. And I can see that from even back in the day. I was literally watching The Ultimate Fighter this season with Michael Bisping and Mayhem Miller, and I'm watching the guys come out. This was 135-pound guys and 145-pound guys. And behind some of the fighters was Kamar Usman. This was back in 2011, I believe. 2011 or 2013. 2013, I think it is. And Kamar Usman was behind there because he was the main wrestling coach, I guess, for that season. And it was crazy to see him there backing up guys who are getting on The Ultimate Fighter. And now he's a champion in the UFC and being considered one of the – I know it's hard to talk about the greatest of all time talks, but if we've seen what he's done in the past 3 years, hasn't lost in the UFC, knocking out guys who's never been knocked out before, knocking out guys who are on hot streaks for a very long periods of time. Usman is on a different level right now, and we got to put all the respect on his name. I feel like every time we talk about Usman, we talk about respect on his name, and he is grabbing and taking that respect every single time. But as I was saying, we got to give Trevor Whitman that. We got to give him that credit. He's changing these specific fighters, and I like to see more of this kind of coaching to where they just have 3 people they're concentrating on, 3 or 4 people, and that's it. And you can see the differences it makes in their game, from Rose, who we'll talk about, Justin Gaethje, of course, and Kamaru Usman. It's amazing to see. You think Trevor Whitman needs to get more credit, or he gets enough?
No, absolutely. You took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I think Trevor Whitman was the winner of the weekend. The way that this guy is able to, and you saw, I don't know,
or Trevor Hitman,
I guess, if you, but But no, yeah, I mean, it's incredible the way that he's able to adapt his fighters to different, to sort of take them out of their comfort zone and yet still excel in something that's maybe not new for them, but something that's different for them, and I felt like that was, and I don't know if you saw the reaction of the knockout, but Trevor Whitman was as cool as a cucumber. Everybody else was losing their shit, right? And there he was, almost as if he kind of knew, like he had foreseen this happening, right? And it just goes to show or exemplify his genius behind his coaching and his style of teaching and everything like that. I mean, it's really amazing. And then between Kamaru's talent and Trevor's teachings, there's no telling how far they can go. And it wasn't just Trevor. We also, Rose, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, like it's just incredible what they're doing over there at Elevation, at Team, what's it called? Elevation.
And breaking news.
Just now,
Kamar Usman has officially surpassed Jon Jones as the number one pound fighter on the UFC rankings. That is official.
I'm looking at right now. What's so crazy
about this? Depending on what location you're at, that's when it'll update. You might have it on your end, but
what's crazy is that I was just here on the UFC rankings page before we jumped on, and it still shows Jon Jones. So I'm gonna do a little refresher here. See what happens.
It might still show Jon Jones. It depends on what region you're in.
It still shows Jon Jones. But whatever. Yeah, that's big news right there. But you know what? Like I can't really be mad at that. I mean, can anybody really be mad at that?
No, I'm not mad at it at all. I released some rankings yesterday, and I have Kamar Usman as my number one. A lot of people were upset and just, Jon Jones has done more in his career. I'm talking about right now. I am talking about right now. Kamar Usman is the best fighter in the world right now. He is active. He is beating people in their primes. He is the best fighter in the world right now. When Jon Jones comes back, and if he beats Francis Ngannou, I give Jon Jones number one back again. They can fight for it. They can go back and forth. Not literally fight for it, but they can go back and forth between number one and number two. But Kamar Usman is at the top of his game. I'm sorry, guys. If you want to debate it with me, come on down to the Mystic Black page. DM me. We'll talk about it. We'll go Instagram Live.
Come on.
I'll pull people in and out. If they want to do it, we can talk about this. But this is how I feel. I think this is very important. But what is next for Jorge Masvidal? And what is next for Kamar Usman? Does Kamar Usman fight Colby Covington again? Or does Kamar Usman think about going up in weight? And then for Masvidal, does he still strive for that title, or does he strive for just big fights because he still has a big name?
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess starting off with Usman, I think that Dana already said that Colby that Colby's going to get the next opportunity at him. As far as moving up, I'd rather just see him. Honestly, like I'm just enjoying the hell out of him. This is a stacked division, and he's already, for the most part, beaten everybody in that division, at least the big names. But I mean, Leon, he hasn't fought in a while. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Colby running it back. So I'd like to see him stay in this division rather than moving up. And as far as Jorge's a big name, man. He's still gonna bring in viewers. What's so crazy is that this knockout I felt would have sort of torpedoed a lot of people's careers, or if not their careers, the opportunities that they were going to get up next. But he's still a big name. He's still going to bring viewers and everything like that. And if he could bounce back against some respectable names, I think that he'll eventually, perhaps get another. I mean, granted, so long as Usman is on top and he's the champion, I don't think that he's going to get another title shot. But for whatever reason, something else happens, that he's no longer there and somebody finally is able to dethrone Usman on top. I think I could see Jorge maybe. I feel like he's pressed for time. I know that age is just a number in this sport, especially when you see guys like Glover Teixeira, who's going to be fighting for a title now at 41 years old. But I think what happens is that, you have to stay relevant. So he definitely, I feel like, has to get another win or two before he can, sort of circle back to that opportunity of a title shot. But yeah, I think that he's going to be relevant because people love him, man. He's such an entertaining. I mean, just at the pressers, even during the fights, before the fights, he's a very entertaining guy to watch. And I mean, I'd always tune in for him. I'm sure people feel the same way.
Man, I think there's a very easy fight for Jorge Masvidal. Nick Diaz, you saw that crowd reaction when they put Nick Diaz on that screen?
Oh,
they
yeah.
Absolutely bonkers. Nick Diaz fights at 170. I know he hasn't fought in 6 years, but he looks in shape. And you know this is not going to be any kind of fight to where they're both going to be, the wrestling exchanges, I'm going to take him down. No, they're going to stand up and they're going to bang. And I think it'll be a better fight.
It's going to be a typical street fight.
It's going to be a literal street fight in a cage. And I think it'll be better than a Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal fight, because I believe that Nick Diaz is the better brother if we're talking about in mixed martial arts. So that's an easy fight for Jorge Masvidal right there. He could do the grudge match with Leon Edwards. That's there as well. Would I be crazy excited for it? I wouldn't be going crazy for it, but a Nick Diaz kind of fight, big money, could main event a card, and Masvidal can keep that energy going that he has and that popularity going with another classic fight. And remember, UFC at the end of the day is a business. If people want to watch you fight, he can sneak himself right back into a title shot as well. So that's there for him. And as far as Kamar Usman goes, I want to see him fight Colby Covington again, because the first fight was just so good. Going into the fifth round, that could have been anybody's fight until Usman knocked him out. It'll be a good fight the second time as well, but I just feel that Kamar Usman is just that much better, and I feel like he'd finish Colby Covington even faster. So him beating Colby Covington twice, it'll just add to his legacy, add to his amazing career, and of course, I'm down to see that next. But speaking of great fighters and greatest of all time, my God, Valentina Shevchenko went in there, dominated like she was upset about something. I don't know what it was, but Valentina went in there with some kind of a vengeance, like Jessica Andrade had did something to her sister, Antonina. Nick, how did you feel about Valentina's performance?
I mean, not surprised, right? Can we ever be surprised? Valentina's kind of in the same circle as Amanda Nunes. You know, we know for the most part, we know in our gut what to expect, right? She's incredibly strong, and she's incredibly she's like a chameleon. She adapts the whatever way she needs to. She has so many styles that she can approach, and I feel that she's almost equally as good at all of them. You know, so it's incredible to me that, you know, we see so many people coming up and taking the opportunity to try to dethrone Valentina, but I just don't see it happening. She is just such an incredible fighter, and her strength is, you know, she doesn't look physically big, right? You know, like for instance, Jessica Andrade, she looks big for her. I mean, she's a smaller person at 5'1" and everything like that, but she looks, you know, like a tree trunk. You know, she's got a lot of muscle on her. Valentina looks in a way kind of like when I see Holly Holm, like just somebody that's incredible physique, always in shape, and that they look smaller than they are strong. I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, it's just incredible the amount of strength that she has in her game.
Man, oh man. When I tell you that is the definition of there's levels to this shit, woo! Valentina Shevchenko shows you that there's level to this shit. Man, it's amazing to see how the difference between her and 10 other fighters in a division are. The level of dominance is just something we'll probably never see again from a women's fighter, besides Amanda Nunes, because, you know, Amanda Nunes does that in 2 different weight classes. But at 125, I don't think too many of those girls can dominate the way Valentina does. I just don't think so. And I don't think she got hit once by Andrade in that fight. Did she? Did she get maybe a leg kick or something?
I mean, I didn't see any. I mean, Jessica has always showed no fear going into that. I know that she went for opportunities, but I mean, since the beginning, you know, Valentina just controlled it the entire way through.
Yeah, Valentina and Jessica Andrade is a very strong girl. This is no easy girl to keep down on her back. She did get up a couple times, but Valentina just put her right back on her ass and dominated her from there. And it was funny. I remember before the fight, I was saying, man, Jessica Andrade has some good takedowns. She can probably slam her, put on her back, and Valentina has struggled there before. But then I went back and I looked at it at any time that Valentina was taken down. And when she got taken down by Juliana Pena, she submitted her. When she got taken down by Jennifer Maia, she actually tripped. So maybe Valentina is not the easiest person when it comes to the ground game. She's just good everywhere. But at this point, Nick, is there anybody else you want to see her against in the flyweight division? Or is it time to make that Amanda Nunes rematch happen?
I mean, I guess if anybody, I suppose Lauren, you know,
Lauren Murphy.
Other than Lauren, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing her go back. And I mean, do you think that they would give her a third chance against Amanda? Or I mean, I know people are going to want to see it in a business standpoint. Obviously, that's going to sell. But you know, you already lost 2 matches against her. You know, 2 title opportunities against her. Like, people might argue, are you deserving of a third one? And I would say yes. But how would you react to that?
I think that in those fights, they were close, especially when you got into the later rounds where Amanda got tired. Valentina is not somebody who's been finished ever. And I feel like Valentina has gotten way better since that time period compared to Amanda. I'm not saying Amanda hasn't gotten better, but Valentina has gotten leaps and bounds better. The only thing that worries me about that fight is the size. Amanda Nunes is a big girl. Valentina Shevchenko probably cuts half a pound to get to 125. So unless she does some kind of bulking up or gets a little bit bigger, it's going to be a little bit of a difficult fight. I feel skill for skill, Valentina's better in my opinion. Skill for doing that. But if we add that size in there and Amanda hits hard, it could even be a short night for Valentina for the first time ever in her career. Amanda is just coming from 145 and bringing that power down too. She still has it at 135. It's scary, but I would love to see it because their first 2 fights were very close, and these are 2 girls who are dominating all divisions in the UFC, all women's divisions in the UFC besides the strawweight division.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it at this point in their careers. I'd 100% like to see it. But
well, I mean, I imagine that she's really the only threat, I would say, legitimate threat to Amanda, anyways.
yeah,
So you might as well throw her in there one last time.
I personally, if this is going to be a little bit crazy, but I think that Valentina Shevchenko can make 115 pounds. She's not a big flyweight at all. She does not have to cut that much weight. Some of these girls who cut down to 115 are coming from 130, 135 to make 115. So you're telling me a girl who walks around probably at 128 pounds of just straight muscle, straight bullet muscle, can't make 115 pounds? I'd like to see it. I wouldn't be.
That's gonna be some bad news for the girls down in that division.
They see Valentina come down and just like, oh no,
like,
what's she doing?
There goes my reign. There goes my championship reign.
Speaking of championship reign, Thug Rose came back with a vengeance to reclaim the strawweight title for the second time in career, knocking out Zhang Weili in the first round in the first 2 minutes of their fight by a head kick. Nick, what was your first initial reaction to seeing that happen to Weili that fast? And do you think it was an early stoppage as she felt that it was?
I felt utterly shocked because I had picked Weili to win this fight. And the fact that it happened this early on, I was just like, holy shit. You know, I thought that Rose was going to come in there sort of emotional, sort of, you know, not emotional, but sort of maybe like anxious going into this fight, and she kind of looked at walking towards the ring and standing in the ring before the fight started, and the way the angle that she just went ahead and kicked at that her foot fitted perfectly between Weili's arm and just her head, and the way that she got knocked out. I mean, I know that some people might think, and I'm sure that Weili felt that like it got pulled too early, but I think we all knew that she was knocked out because that was such a clean strike with the foot to her face that, you know, like, and not only that, but when you saw the second punches come around before the fight was stopped, who was officiating that? Herb? Was it Herb?
I don't remember.
No, it was Peter. No, it was oh my God, what's his name? He's got all the tattoos. He's always wearing the long sleeves.
I'm not remembering his name.
I can't remember, but I'll remember.
Is it Dominic Cruz's guy?
No, it's but it was incredible. Like I think we all knew that she was knocked out, and the fact that like those first couple hits, she's there just kind of looking into space. You know that she's not there, right? Maybe she snapped out of it right then and there, but it was definitely the right call to make.
I think. Hold on, I'm looking at it now. I think it was Jason Herzog. Is Jason Herzog?
No, Jason wasn't there that weekend. It was Peter. I can't remember his name.
It's a guy with tattoos that owes. I know exactly what you're talking about. His name's not coming. I know who you're talking about. It's just not coming to me.
I'll find it.
Yeah. But anyway, I just was not expecting that fight to go that quick. And if anything would be that fast, it would be maybe Zhang Weili knocking out Rose. Sorry. There we go, Keith Peterson.
That's what
I thought it would be Weili knocking out Rose if it was going to be that fast, because We've seen Welly finish Jessica Andrade within seconds of a first round, and Rose has had a first round knockout when she knocked out Joanna. So it shows you that accuracy is there for sure. And for her to land a head kick around somebody's guard, that shows you how much she was practicing that. That shows you how her accuracy is just on another level. And that shows you that maybe she wasn't as emotional as we thought that she was. But maybe she was emotional, but she was taking that energy and putting it in the right place. As soon as she was walking up to that cage and Pat Barry were just like, "You're the best. You're the best." And she's like, "I'm the best. I'm the best." Like, man, that for me, watching that at first, I'm just like, oh man, he's trying to hype her up too much. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe she doesn't believe in herself as much. Oh, this girl believes in every single thing that she's doing. She believes in her training. She believes in her faith. She believes in everything at this point in her career. And you can see a big difference between Rose back then and Rose now. Like, I've been watching Rose since she was about 20 years old, fighting in Invicta, and to see her now at 28 years old and still in not even in, I don't even know prime yet, to be completely honest, because she just keeps getting better every single fight, especially with, once again, Trevor Hitman Whitman in her corner and just making her better, especially on the mental space. And she talked about that a lot, how mentally Trevor Whitman has helped her so much. So that showed in her game. And one thing I want to point out that was very unfortunate was the crowd booing Weili Zhang. Like, that is, that's just very sick to see, especially living here in Florida, for them to boo her over everything that's happened in the past year. And they were booing every Chinese fighter that was on the card. And that was very unfortunate to see. I don't know if you saw that, Nick, or heard that.
I mean, I didn't hear. I heard the "fuck Jake Paul" chants, of course, but I didn't really. I guess maybe with my own, here in my own house with the whole, shock and everything of the knockout and whatnot, I didn't really necessarily hear anything after the fight from the crowd or even before, because I was so fixated on Rose looking kind of anxious. But I mean, it's unfortunate, but I can't say I'm utterly shocked by that. I mean, this was in Jacksonville, we're by the Florida-Georgia line, and unfortunately there's not a lot of open-mindedness in around that area. And, it kind of goes back to like when Rose made her comments, and I think she kind of took it back a little bit, but maybe not as much. Maybe that went into it as well. But it's unfortunate to see or hear about that right now, because I feel that, this generalizations in general are dangerous, right? Like, it's not her fault that she's Chinese. It's not her fault that she's from a place where, this virus and this pandemic sort of originated. It's not like she's the one that went ahead and released it out there. So it's unfortunate when you see ignorance like that. But I mean, she's a strong person. She doesn't seem like somebody who is affected by what's on the outside. I think she'll bounce back, and we'll see. Let's see what happens. I don't know if they'll get a rematch. I don't know if she'll go ahead and fight somebody else, but I'm sure she's going to do whatever it takes to get back to the top and get that belt back.
Yeah, I don't think a rematch is necessary to happen right now, especially getting knocked out that fast, that quick.
Yeah.
Welly's got to gain her way back up there, which it probably won't even take her that long. She gets one good win over somebody in that top three, she can be right there within a title shot. I'd personally like to see Rose Namajunas take on Mackenzie Dern. I think Mackenzie Dern would be a great matchup for her. I mean, Mackenzie might not be on her level yet because Rose has been doing this for a long time and Mackenzie's learning a lot, but I feel like Mackenzie learns very fast. You can see that in her last performances with her striking. Her ground game is excellent and amazing. I would love to see that fight happen, because if you look at the top five of the UFC women's strawweight division, I believe Swerve is injured again. So she's probably going to be for the rest of the year. Of course, Zhang is one. Who's ranked number 20? Let me look specifically.
So we have in that division, you have Zhang at 1, obviously. Then Joanna Jacek at 2. Yan Jian at 3.
I know Joanna was talking about come back. And I want to have a touch shot. I don't want to see Joanna versus Rose. Those be her the third fight. I'm good. Nope. I have to say that Joanna doesn't deserve it. In her career, she's had amazing performance. We've never watched performing. No,
Oh, wait, you're kind of coming in and out. I didn't hear that last point.
You didn't hear the last one?
No, I mean your voice is kind of breaking in and out. I don't know if you hear it as that way or not. But last thing I heard was something about the rankings.
You hear me now?
No, I don't know if you want to perhaps jump off and try to get back on.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yeah, so Mackenzie Dern, I think I'll go ahead and cover for now. I think Mackenzie Dern would be an interesting pick because I mean she's there already in the top 5. We've seen Mackenzie Dern pretty much dominate everybody that she's come against these last couple of matches that she's had. It could be interesting. I'm wondering, where does Mackenzie train? Because I thought she trained at Elevation too, but I guess not.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you a little bit better.
Okay. No, Mackenzie trains with Jason Perillo in California.
That's who it was. For some reason, I thought that she was at Elevation as well. But no, I mean, I'm totally for that too. I mean, it sucks because my favorite fighter, or one of my favorite fighters, is Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and I actually wanted, in a way, I was kind of rooting for Zhang to win because I wanted to see that rematch. I mean, we had a fight of the year with her and Zhang last year, so. But
that's a good fight. That's agreed. Them rematching, I think that's a good fight.
I think that'd be a good fight, but the question is, would Joanna come back for that? Because Joanna's been out for some time, and I feel that if she was going to come back, it was going to come back to get the title. But I don't think that's going to happen so long as she's facing Rose Namajunas, who beat her twice, right? You know, you might say the second time was debatable and whatnot, but I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you already lost. You know, most of the time, it's best 2 out of 3, right? And that's why we're getting, you know, Poirier, McGregor again in this summer. But that's why we're not going to we'll probably never get another Max Holloway, Alexander Volkanovski, right? So it's
after Max Holloway's last performance, maybe.
I mean, maybe, but it's kind of it's like it's more of a pool, right? Like it's more of a struggle to try to get that again. So I don't see Joanna coming back and fighting Rose Namajunas for the title a third time. So I think Mackenzie Dern would be a nice play, and then we'll really get an idea of where Mackenzie's at. Because let's say that Mackenzie goes ahead and fights Rose Namajunas, even if she doesn't win, if she puts out a good performance and it goes, let's say, ultimately to decision, I think even a loss going to decision against somebody like Thug Rose would even propel her further in her career.
So I think, hold on, Carla Esparza is fighting Yan Xiaonan coming up. Let me just check to make sure before I say what I say. I just want to be clear with this. Yeah, Carla Esparza fighting Yan Xiaonan on May 22nd. I think the winner of that fight can fight for the title as well. Carla Esparza, if you remember, won the Ultimate Fighter against Rose Namajunas and claimed the UFC strawweight title for the first time. So I'm sure Rose wants to get that loss back, and that'd be a good fight as well. And Yan Xiaonan has been on a tear. My God, I don't think she's lost yet. I think she's is she undefeated? She's lost one fight, but not in the UFC. She's been on a tear as well, going through Claudia Gadelha, Carolina Kowalewicz, and Angela Hill. My God, she's going through a lot of people. So that'd be very interesting to see as well. But Rose has a lot of choices that she can make. She has a lot of options. So it's there. But we have to talk about the most gruesome thing we can see on that card. Oh, my God. Even though we started the card off with Jimmy Crute and the nerve, but that's different compared to the complete break of Chris Weidman's leg. What are the odds this happens to Chris Weidman? MMA fans, if you guys remember a long time ago, if you don't remember, you can Google this if you want. Viewer discretion advised. Chris Weidman fought Anderson Silva for a second time. Anderson Silva went for a kick, stepped back, and he went for a kick, his leg broke, and you can see it breaking on Chris Weidman's leg. And he tried to step back, and his leg was completely broken. We saw a literal repeat of this with Chris Weidman and Uriah Hall. Nick, I know I've asked you this a billion times, but initial reaction to seeing that, my God.
Initial reaction is I almost threw up all over my living room carpet. Oh, my God. And it wasn't even – it was like a double gut punch, right? Because I saw it the moment – when it broke off Uriah Hall's knee. I saw it then, but when he came back and landed on it, I can't even, oh my God, it still gives me chills. Like I see it, it's forever embedded in my mind. And it's such a, Oh, it was so horrific to see. It was so painful. Like it was. I tell you what. Before this pandemic, and I'm trying to get back into it. I play soccer every Thursday, and I always make sure to wear my shin guards because that has to be one of my biggest fears is breaking my tibia, my fibia, and to see it happen, it was just it was. I can tell you that the feeling was mutual amongst the room. I had some people over, and we were all freaking the fuck out.
That was the craziest thing I could see, especially that fast for it to happen with the first kick thrown in the fight. Unbelievable!
I couldn't
Like
believe it.
what?
No, and we were already a little bit squeamish with the fight before. So to see that, it was just
Back to back.
it really was a poison pill back to back. It was just like, oh my god, what else does this night have in store? And it had a lot in store because that had to be one of the best cards I've ever seen.
It shows you that, and we had, by the way, we had 5 finishes. No matter how the finishes happened, we had 5 finishes on the main card. So for people who like to complain, all decisions, all this stuff, there was 5 finishes
Yep.
on that
Nothing
main
you can
card.
complain about here.
Nope. But for that to happen on the first kick, that shows you how much wear and tear Chris Weidman's body has for sure been through. We forget about this. These guys have been athletes their whole entire life, especially like a Weidman who's been wrestling forever, then got into MMA. He tries to switch things up because he was training with Stephen Thompson in South Carolina, where he lives now. Shout out to Carolina, Chris. And first kick he throws at that leg, it just breaks. I just think about, is Chris Weidman going to want to go through this again? After feeling that or seeing the bone come out the back of your calf, because I don't know if you saw it. When he was laying on the ground, his bone was sticking out of his calf. I know the feeling of breaking something in your leg. It is not fun. I know the recovery of breaking something in your leg. It is not fun, and you just don't know. You're just so tentative with your legs after that because you don't want that to happen to you again. So for a guy like Weidman, who is definitely on the older side of his career, he's got to ask himself, do I want to come back and experience this one more time? Do you think Weidman comes back, or do you think he retires after a break like that?
I mean, after a break like that, at his age, this late in his career, with the hiatus that he had prior to last year, I mean, it's not so much whether he maybe it's not even a decision of his to make. Maybe it's his own body making the decision, because how long is this going to take to recover, right? How long are you going to take to rehab from this? Then you have to go through training. Then you have to possibly, get re-injured again. And for somebody, let's say somebody like Uriah Hall, who didn't have, who still doesn't have all the accomplishments that Weidman had or has had, I would say, keep pushing it, keep pushing for it. Why not? But Weidman, I mean, he's had the taste of glory. Why force it? If you want to, ultimately, that's his decision. But I guess we have to see if his body agrees with it.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see him come back from that. He's probably going to be out for the next maybe 8 months, something like that, to get full strength. I know in 4 weeks he's going to be able to walk on crutches, but for that to just completely just come back together, it's going to be a long road ahead for him. But shouts to Uriah Hall for being such an honorable guy and not celebrating that after. He felt very sorry about it, and it was unfortunate to see, and that was hard to watch. But speaking of hard to watch, Jake Paul, we got to talk about him. We got to talk about him as much as I don't want to.
Speaking of nausea,
he is almost taking over the combat sports world between MMA and boxing. He shows up at the fight in Jacksonville. The crowd immediately starts screaming, "Fuck Jake Paul, F Jake Paul." And that shows you that he is having some kind of an impact on the MMA fans for sure. Daniel Cormier notices that Jake Paul is there, and Jake Paul has spoken about Daniel Cormier in the past, and he's spoken about people that Daniel Cormier is very close with, in likes of Tyron Woodley and other guys within MMA. And Cormier said he told the people at the UFC, "Hey, I just need 2 minutes, if that's okay." They're like, "Sure, but go ahead, hurry up." I heard he ran to Jake Paul, goes up to his face and said, "Keep my effing name out your mouth. I don't play. I don't play. I'm different." And had his hand like very close to his face. And he didn't do anything, of course, because I'm sure he would have got fined.
He's on the clock.
He's on the clock. He literally was on the clock. But it was just so crazy to see that. Nick, do you think a fight with Daniel Cormier and Jake Paul ever happens?
No, I don't think. Me personally, I don't think that DC would buy into that. And if DC were to buy into that, and I think he even mentioned something about it, that like it wouldn't be boxing, it would be mixed martial arts, because it's like this guy, you know, it's 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 kind of, I think, silly, the fact that it's like, oh yeah, I beat this guy at boxing. Well, boxing is not their specialty. They're mixed martial artists, like that's like saying, pinning a NASCAR driver against a Formula One driver. They're both talented at what they do, but it's a completely different style of racing. So I don't see that happening. I don't think DC would be the type of person that would kind of, chase clout like that, and try and give more attention, even though whether he did it intentionally or not, give more attention to this guy Jake. So I don't see it happening. What about you?
I think that DC is a guy who's very big on respect, and if he has to beat the living crap out of Jake Paul, he'll do it. He'll do it. That's an easy payday. Millions, you definitely make over millions of dollars. Training camp won't even probably have to be that hard at all, maybe in the sense of cutting weight, because DC said he will go back down to 205 and beat him up there. But DC said specifically it would have to be in an MMA cage, so I don't think it's going to happen because Jake Paul wouldn't be dumb enough to do something like that. Absolutely not. No matter how much money Jake Paul would make off that fight, he's not stupid enough to do that. He's going to call out somebody else, again, who's probably way over their age in fighting, a BJ Penn, something like that, and keep going on this streak of knocking out people who probably shouldn't be in there anymore. So that's enough about Jake Paul. We'll go over that. But this Monday or Tuesday, I forgot what day they reported it, Conor McGregor donates $500,000 to the Boys and Girls Club in Louisiana instead of donating to Dustin Poirier's what's the name of the Good Fight Foundation, which was huge because Conor had said, "Hey, I'm going to donate $500K to your foundation after we fight." He didn't live up to it, and he said, "No, I don't know where that money's going, so I'm not going to do that yet. So just you wait." They got very public about it. Poirier apologized because he didn't want any negativity towards his foundation. But come to find out this morning, actually, before I say that, what was your reaction to see Conor donating to a different foundation rather than Dustin Poirier's?
I suppose it's just adding fuel to the fire, fuel to
Mental
the showmanship,
right?
for this summer's battle between them. I think it's, everything is, Conor's a smart guy. Conor, I feel, is, can he be disrespectful? Absolutely. But Conor knows what he's doing in the sense of, trying to get into people's heads, and it doesn't always work out for him. But I think this is just another one of those tactics.
That's what I thought initially off the bat. I'm just like, oh, he's playing the mental game already. This is where it begins. And then I watched an interview with Dustin Poirier this morning, and he actually did work with Conor's team for them to get that $500,000 to the Boys and Girls Club in Louisiana. That's why he specifically did it there. So they did work together with that. So there's no, I guess there's no.
So it's all show. It's all show. That I guess this is the typical. I suppose maybe because this is the first time that I'm hearing about it. This is maybe the typical: read the headline, don't read the story, and just assume what happened.
Exactly.
I guess kind of thing.
Exactly. So Dustin Poirier talked about it this morning. You can watch that interview with Ariel Helwani, and they work together to get that money to the Boys and Girls Club in Louisiana. Good on Conor for doing that, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids and it's about the people who need it the most, rather than this whole big beef that they have. At the end of the day, that's more important. Thank God.
Not to mention that he's. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just saying that. Not to mention that he's gonna have a big payday coming up now that he sold his majority stake in Proper 12.
Ooh, oh yeah, let's bring that up too. Conor, $600 million he sold Proper 12 whiskey to. I forget the person he sold it to, but man, coming from something that came out how many years ago when he fought Floyd? 2017, I want to say. 4 years later, and now, it's 2017. That's when, Proper 12 whiskey came out in 2018. So 3 years later, that company is worth over $600 million. So Conor McGregor is on his way to being a billionaire. My God, that's a lot of money. But congrats to Conor McGregor on that big sale. And I hope that maybe Dustin Poirier's hot sauce can get to that point too as well, because people are buying it, man. Louisiana
people are buying it. I don't know if people eat as much hot sauce as people drink whiskey, but man, let me tell you, like this is kind of one of those things that I feel that maybe less motivation from this might cause ultimately less motivation from McGregor, and reasonably so. I don't think he's less of a person because I do feel like Conor gets a bad rap in the sense of that, he's made all this money and everything like that. And people say like, oh, your heart's not in it and you're not a competitor anymore. No, that's not the case. Is that why, if I'm financially stable for generations, right? For my kids, my kids' kids, my kids' kids' kids, right? Why would I be taking hits to the head, right? When I don't need to. So,
Yep.
I mean, it is going to be interesting to see how this sort of pans out when he fights the next time against Dustin. And when is it again that they're fighting? In July?
July 10th.
July, right?
Yeah,
July 10th. So
I
I'm wondering how much it's gonna, obviously affect his game.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder how his motivation is going to be there, because you just made $600 million. It's like, well, why do I need to fight? Just like you said there. But Floyd Mayweather made a lot of money in his career too, but he still was he was very competitive, never lost, and he still had that fire in him. So it's going to be very interesting.
Still does, apparently.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see which direction Conor takes this. So let's see what happens in July. But we had some other news as well. Jon Jones has officially left first round management, which is down here in Miami with the likes of Malki Kawa, Abe Kawa, who he's been with for over 11 years. They started with him in his career when he first got to the UFC up until recently, even though Malki Kawa said in the past 2 or 3 years, they haven't been working with him too much. He's kind of been negotiating himself. Nick, do you think it's a good idea for Jon Jones to leave first round management, for him to go elsewhere, especially in the midst of him having trouble to get this heavyweight fight and asking for a specific amount of money? You think it's better he just keeps representing himself, or maybe he gets a different management? Not to say that first round management couldn't get him that money, because they weren't the people who was in the office negotiating that money.
I mean, I think maybe it's just best to have a fresh start for both parties involved, right? Because if they're not working together anyways, I mean, that could sort of foreshadow a distance that is there in that partnership. And once you have a distance, it's just better to go your own way and not get involved, especially with things like of such importance, right? Like somebody's career, the money and everything like that. I think it's the right move, like I said, for both of them, especially if they haven't been working simultaneously in recent times. And who knows, maybe he just continues to sort of represent himself. Maybe he finds another management company, but whatever he does next, I feel that he really needs to, I don't know, to just completely be invested in it or not, either put forth the necessary effort, make the sacrifices, and God knows that he's made already so many. But if he really does want to make a return to UFC, and ultimately he's not going to get paid what he deserves, right? Especially with how much he's contributed to the sport. So at this point, when you're trying to get what you feel is you deserve, I hate to be that person to give the pragmatic truth, but they're not going to give it to you, because unfortunately UFC is just, I would say, that money driven, that they're never going to be. It's kind of like when you go to the casino, right? You think you're there at the blackjack table, you're winning a lot and everything. You feel like you're the one that's winning. At the end of the day, look at your house and look at the casino, right? We all know who runs the show here, unfortunately. So I think he just needs to, I don't know, find a new direction. And if this is the way to do it, then by all means, I wish him luck, and I wish FRM luck as well, and just move on from each other.
I've personally never heard a fighter complain about first round management ever. These are guys who literally give their fighters they make them start their own business. They give them every opportunity possible while they're there with that management. Jorge Masvidal had problems with contracts. Look at him now, headlining pay-per-views, getting paid more than a champion on both cards. Both times they fought, Jorge Masvidal made more money than Kamar Usman. Derek Lewis is driving Ferraris. All these cars, like if you've ever seen a garage, Google it. Google Derek Lewis.
I feel bad for that car suspension.
I know. You'll see the cars that he drives. Paige Van Zandt is about to come out with one of her own businesses. They have people owning their own businesses. I don't think there's any issue there with first round. And I think it was smart on their behalf, because people kept looking at that and just, oh, damn, Jon Jones management can't get him $30 million. No, it wasn't them. And for them to put out that statement was very smart on their behalf, because it makes it look like they do bad business, and they definitely don't. John Jones definitely has some kind of a bad rap in decisions that he's made this past couple years, and he's been representing himself in the past couple fights against Dominic Reyes, Thiago Santos, and I think the Gustafsson fight as well. But this has not been first round management. I think John Jones will get picked up very easily by any. I mean, not picked up. He'll choose whatever management he wants to go with going forward, and I hope that he chooses a management and he doesn't just represent himself, because I feel like that never works out well for an athlete. If you remember, Mike Tyson used to represent himself. Man's burnt $500 million in a matter of like 7 or 8 years. That shows you that you need somebody there to make sure you're negotiating correctly, make sure you're smart with your money, and make sure you're owning your own businesses and things like that, you know?
Not just that, but dotting the I's and crossing the T's too.
Yeah, I'm sure John Jones is set for life and he's good. His kids are probably good. But my thing is, if you cannot sell those pay-per-views, I know you're the GOAT. That's just not how business works. You cannot go into a pay-per-view and sell 300K buys and then you want $30 million. It doesn't work that way. You can see Jorge Masvidal is selling over 1 million pay-per-views. I know we don't get the specific numbers now because they're with ESPN, and it's hard to give John Jones that, because just because he's the GOAT, just because he's undefeated, you got to sell the pay-per-views. It's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's ultimately what's always the driving force behind all these things, and it's true. I mean, you know what it is, that you could be the most talented person in your sport, but if you don't bring entertainment, if you don't bring viewers, you're not always going to get what you want, you know? So, you know, good luck to him and whatever next management that he chooses, but I mean, we'll see ultimately, I guess, what happens.
I think I froze. Did I freeze?
Yes, you did.
I did freeze, but it's okay because everything
right
else
on cue.
Right on cue, of course, towards the end of the show. I think that subscribe button might be like some kind of a curse. But anyways, it's not a curse. It's actually a button. It's a button that you guys should hit, because you guys got to subscribe.
It's symbolism for free. Stop what you're doing and subscribe to this channel. Literal symbolism. But of course, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. We will be back next week, of course, right here on. I'm back. I know what I was doing. I'm never touching that button again. That's what I'm doing. Never doing. But of course, we appreciate you guys for watching. Nick, anything you guys say to people before we go? Nothing. I mean, it's funny. Before we go, I guess I just wanted to chat up a little bit. How did you feel about having, the crowds back and everything for this event? It did feel different, right? It almost felt amazing, right?
It gave me so much energy, because I was just so pumped to see people in there and to see their reactions when these knockouts happen. Like, I didn't want to see that at the UFC Apex, man. That's just... No, I need that crowd energy. I was upset because I wanted to be there. I'm like, damn,
I was going to tell you, in a way, I kind of regret it, because I really, honestly, I feel like we're not at the point of the pandemic that we can be completely relaxed. So from that standpoint, I wasn't too supportive of it, but I've been fully vaccinated for, I would say, perhaps more than a month now. And so I was really tempted to go up there. And you know what? I got to admit, I kind of regret that I didn't go, man, especially that I was here in Florida.
Oh, man. And Masvidal headlining the card. We definitely should have went, but I'm sure more events are going to come back to Florida. Because
absolutely. Dana was happy as a pig in shit when he was asked about how it was having an event here in Florida.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll be back. We'll see them when they come back, and hopefully we can go, man. I'm down to go. If you want to go next time they're here, I am in.
Let's do it, bro.
Let's do it. But all right, guys, we appreciate you so much. Of course, this will be on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Right after this, we're going to upload it on there. And tune in at 4:30. A little breaking news for you guys. I will be doing an interview with Fabricio Verdun, who now fights for the PFL. So tune into that. Bye, Cavallo. That will be on YouTube Live for sure. So I'll see you guys there. And I appreciate you guys. As always, your boy, Darnell Giovanni, Mystic Black, Nick Marcus. We are out. Boom!